Welcome back to Flick Favorites. I'm going to explain a crime, mystery, thriller film from 2015, titled Secret in Their Eyes. This is a gripping story with good acting. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. The film starts in Los Angeles in 2002. Together with his colleague Jess, Ray, an FBI agent in the counterterrorism section, prowls a mosque, where the terrorists are allegedly assembling, according to one of the sources. The nation is in a panic following the horrific events of September 11, 2001. People are purchasing chemical safety gear and looking suspiciously at those who have an Arab appearance. In addition to being partners, Jess and Ray are close friends. Ray gets along well with Carolyn, her little daughter, and frequently sees Jess. They have developed a particular bond through the years, yet they have just ever been friends. The next person we meet is Claire, an associate district attorney who joins Ray and Jessica's team. Ray falls in love with his new coworker right away, but he tries to stay away because she is already engaged. On a different workday, the detectives receive an anonymous phone call alerting them to the discovery of a girl's body in a dumpster close to the same mosque. The body had been bleached both inside and out, perhaps to cover up any genetic remnants of maltreatment. The victim has no ID or money when Jess, Ray and her colleague Bumpy arrive at the scene. As a result, they are unable to even recognize her. The murderer also left no traces or hints behind. Ray loses air, though, when he approaches the body. He knows that the deceased girl is Carolyn, Jess's daughter. He tells her this with a stutter. She rushes to the garbage and cries hysterically while clutching the body of the daughter who will never be returned to her arms. At first, she cannot believe what she is hearing. After burying her daughter, the mother informs Ray that she has to leave town to get over the loss. Jess also lacks the authority to look into the situation because she is a cousin, but Ray guarantees that he will personally handle everything. The crime, it seems out, took place between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. The watchman's observation of a gray vehicle that arrived in the parking lot at 10:30 and left 20 minutes later is the sole hint. The police later learn that the automobile with this license plate had been stolen 3 days prior. However, Carolyn's automobile was waiting for her at the neighboring bakery. Ray assists Jess in gathering her belongings before departing. He discovered many images showing the department enjoying a business picnic. At the moment, Carolyn was with them. An unidentified person can be seen staring at the girl in the picture. When Ray shows his co-workers the photo, none recognizes him. The man is perplexed as to how a stranger might have attended the picnic. He becomes even more irate as everyone continues to be silent. He discovers the identity of the stranger by using a software to fight terrorism. The person is identified as Marzin. Ray is already decided to detain him and continue the interrogation. Although there is not enough evidence to arrest him, the district attorney, Morales, is not in a rush to do so. Even though Marzin does not formally work with the FBI, he was invited to the picnic that day so he could feel like a member of the group. Ray, though, is not content with the current state of affairs. He then breaks into Marzin's home with Bumpy, but they don't discover anything unusual inside other than a comic book that Marzin had personally illustrated. After some time, Morales summons Ray to his office and chastises him for entering the suspect's home without permission. Ray lacked the legal authority to enter the man's home without a judge's permission. Marzin is aware that his home has been searched and is currently the subject of an inquiry. When Jess gets back to work, she learns that there is a new suspect in her daughter's case. Ray displays Claire Marzin's comics in spite of Claire's objections. She examines it carefully and discovers a clue. The cartoon makes it quite obvious that the suspect enjoys baseball. Later that evening, she runs into Bumpy and Ray in a bar dedicated to baseball, where she predicts that sooner or later, every baseball enthusiast will appear. Because Marzin is such a monster, she does not want to murder him. When Ray learns the day of the following baseball game, he and Bumpy head to the stadium. In the midst of the admirers, they manage to recognize a well-known face and attempt to apprehend him. When Claire learns that they have no evidence against Marzin, she panics. Marzin is also an FBI informant, and his attorney is already fighting to have him released. Fortunately, Ray is able to set up a questioning with Marzin. However, the young man claims he has no idea why he was detained and denies knowing who Carolyn is. He says he spent 10 minutes at the picnic before becoming bored and leaving. Because he is an informant, he attempted to flee from them at the stadium out of fear of being spotted with the feds. Claire decides to take advantage of the boy's interest in the cleavage of her top after noticing it. She prods him by claiming that, per the expert report, Carolyn was slain by a huge, powerful guy and that an examination of her internal organs revealed that she had an abnormal reproductive organ. He could not have done it, according to her, a brat like him. He eventually loses control, attacks her, and confesses everything. Ray pushes the youngster away and even gives him a few punches in an effort to defend his friend. Later, Morales releases Marzin, citing the bruises on his face as evidence that the confession was coerced. Since there is no proof against the most crucial informant, Morales is hesitant to imprison him. When the gray vehicle that smells like bleach is found, things only get worse. When Claire and Ray arrive at the scene and notice the burning automobile, they conclude the district attorney is to blame. Jess is currently in a complete state of devastation. She recalls that Carolyn had a date and had declined to attend the picnic, but she had pushed, claiming she would soon be starting school and their relationship would end. Ray quits the FBI to focus on another area since he is so disappointed with the legal system. Ray resurfaces at his former department after 13 years had passed. Jess is the primary investigator and exhausted, and she has never recovered, while Claire has been elevated to the position of district attorney. Ray wants Claire to revive Carolyn's case since he hasn't forgotten about it at all in all these years. Since she no longer has her badge, she will require assistance. Marzin, who had spent 10 years for armed robbery, was located by Ray. Even his name was changed to Clay Beckwith after being recently freed early. Looking over millions of white male prisoners overall and thousands of faces every night, Ray discovered him in a database of prisoner images. All that is left for him to do is locate his parole officer because his face and age match. It's just another cross-section, Claire worries. Ray persuades Claire to renew the investigation, maybe for the last time. He is certain that Marzin is present this time. He requests Bumpy to locate Marzin's parole board. Marzin was last seen 2 weeks ago, it turns out. He frequently visits the local racecourse since he likes horses. So they will search there for him. When Jess meets Ray, she expresses amazement that Ray has continued his search for the murderer despite it having been 13 years. He acknowledges that on that awful day, he was meant to meet Carolyn. He was meant to purchase a cake for Jess's surprise party. He had a female waiting for him at the bakery, but he abruptly cancelled due to business obligations. Ray and Bumpy arrive at the racetrack, and looking at the stables, notice Marzin. When Ray asks him whether he remembers him, Marzin flees after using a shovel to punch Ray in the ribs. Local youngster Luis claims Marzin frequents this location and makes a commitment to phone Ray if he returns. When Claire first meets Ray, she reveals that she is married and doing well. Ray claims that he once had a wonderful girlfriend, but that they split up because she wasn't like Claire. Why did he not invite her to follow him when he quit the FBI is the woman's question. He claims that he didn't want to undermine her successful position and career. Instead, he used the 13 years to fantasize about her potential yes. At that point, he receives a call from Luis. When Ray gets at the racecourse, Luis informs him that the suspect has just driven away and gives a description of his vehicle. Ray sets out in pursuit after explaining what occurred to Bumpy over the phone, but Marzin is waiting for him, so he is not alone. One agent is killed during a gunfight that results in the arrival of the feds, including Jess, to the scene. They succeed in capturing him, but it seems that he is merely a vehicle thief and not the actual Marzin. At this moment, Claire and Ray, who are out of town, are invited to Jess's home. She thinks that everyone has overstepped their bounds, including Ray, and as a result, one of her co-workers was slain. Jess confesses to Ray that she was the one who killed Marzin. Jess explains that after Ray left all those years ago, Marzin showed up at the Dodgers cafe and she took matters into her own hands. She hit Marzin from behind and shot him dead, burying him in her backyard. Jess reveals that Marzin was a pawn in moralist legal games and that he was able to act with impunity until he killed Caroline. Jess confesses that she should have ended the case years ago and prevented Sam's death. Claire, on the other hand, couldn't bear to see Jess spend the rest of her life in prison. She suggested that they forget about everything and move on. Ray was conflicted about this decision but ultimately decided to respect Claire's wishes when they were leaving Jess's house. Ray couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. Ray knew he had to find out the truth for the sake of Caroline's memory and for his own peace of mind. The following day, Ray made his way up to Jess' house to check. He could see Jess disappearing into a sealed warehouse behind the house. What Ray saw next made his heart skip a beat. There in the center of the warehouse was a man barricaded behind a rusty fence. He realized that the man was Marzin. Marzin saw him and pleaded with Ray to release him from his imprisonment, but Ray was silent, deep in thought as he put his gun on the table and made his way outside. There Ray picked up a shovel and started to dig a hole in the ground. Jess watched him from afar, understanding the gravity of the situation. It was time to put an end to this once and for all. In the end, Jess shoots Marzin, indicating that his 13 years of regret have come to an end. Hope you enjoyed and thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.